Hello, everybody, and happy Monday, and welcome to your daily lighting critique. As always, we've got lots and lots of beautiful images to go through. But first, we have a good amount of announcements. So I made a little list here for myself so I didn't forget anything. Sushi Lighting Challenge is wrapped. The submissions look great. Tomorrow we'll be announcing the winner, and I'm very excited for that. The February Lighting Challenge is going to be a little bit different in two things. Number one, we're going to be launching it February 4th, and it's going to go through March 4th. Just a little shift in the calendar, and that is because we want to align it with the launch of our webinar with the Foundry. This is happening on Thursday. Thursday? Yes. You can find our link to register for the event in the announcement section of the Discord page. So we've got the Foundry webinar happening Thursday. Within that, we're going to be announcing. Oh, I should put these in different order. We're going to be announcing that the Katana workshop is ready to go, and we're going to be announcing our character, and we are, and it's the character for the February Lighting Challenge, and we're super excited about her. I don't want to give anybody anything. I don't want to show her to you quite yet. I don't want to spill the beans, but this is the reference that we used to create her. We've been working with the extremely talented character designer and creator Dani Williams. Abel's been working on getting her integrated into Katana, but this is the background art that we've been using for her, between her hair and her actual her looks, her fashion style, and some of the art that goes into that we were researching when making her. So this is a sneak peek into that. So we are super excited about her. It's probably one of our favorite characters. So again, Foundry webinar happening Thursday. We're going to be talking about lighting in general. We're going to talk about our new Katana class. And since it's February, and because this is something that we care, that we've been trying to work on a lot in our courses, is we're going to be talking about lighting dark-skinned characters to celebrate Black History Month. And that's one of the things with the character that we created. We want to give you guys an opportunity to light a dark-skinned character and use some of the skills that we'll be teaching in the webinar. Also, Unreal is now available. Jordan Jenkins did an incredible job getting that class together. It is up and running and ready to go. Like we said, with the webinar on Thursday is going to come with the release of our new Katana course. It's gonna be like a two-phase release where we're releasing the majority of the lectures now to get you up and running. Abel is also putting together like a little animated sequence so you can see how to light a sequence in Katana. That will be coming soon thereafter. And we are also extremely proud to announce that we have a new technical workshop in the works now with VFX Callahan, Michael Callahan from the group, who is incredible, and we are putting that together now. No timeline on a release date yet, but what we found when making the other workshops is it takes 2-3 months to get these things together if there are no setbacks. So hopefully that'll be along shortly. Oh, and then big thank you to Adrian and Forrest and everybody else that gave the Discord channel boosts. We are now up to level 2, which means you can now stream at 1080p, and you can upload files up to 50 megabytes. So most of even your videos you'll be able to upload directly to Discord and not have to link them through other means. Okay, so those are the big announcements for today. Let's get into some images. So the first one that I wanted to talk about is, and this is going, we're going to go to the videos first, and then I want to talk about Kat's piece, and then we're going to go through alphabetically. So one of the things that we talked about with Kat was putting some caustic bounces from this pond up underneath some of these surrounding objects to kind of integrate the water into the scene. So it's like this refracted light that bounces around. It's tough to tell in the lower resolution, but I would say that the movement it looks fast. And one of the things that we want to do with that is kind of use that to help set the mood. So I would encourage you to just kind of slow it down. So let's go into here. So it'd be more like along this beat, because you want it to create like a nice calming effect, like a nice ooh ah kind of a thing. And so just like some soft ripples. And again, I know this is through the water, but the shape and the speed is the same when it's refracted back up onto the scene. But on a bigger thing with Kat's piece, so this was one of the things that we were talking about, because because what she was finding was that where she wanted this project to go, it just wasn't going there. Like it was probably the direction that I was giving her notes on versus her initial intention. It's just like it just wasn't working. And so instead of giving a critique on this today, I wanted to talk about that process a little bit of what you do when you're running into walls and things just aren't matching your expectation level for them, because it happens all the time, right? I talk about it in theory with these classes and with being a student, is that oftentimes your taste and your aesthetics and your desire develops faster than your skill to be able to replicate those. And that's really, really frustrating. It's incredibly frustrating. And what happens is you can continue to push and you can continue to like want to fight through it with a project that just isn't quite coming together, or you can back away from it and try something else. In this particular case, I was encouraging Kat to take a step back, work on some other projects, and come back. Mostly because the complexity of this shot is so high, right? We've got leaves, we've got bounce, we've got water, we've got a dense jungle, we've got heavy propagation, we've got fog, we've got light rays, flowers, like so many areas of complexity. Like this would take a veteran artist working in the industry for a long period of time, a good chunk of time to light, right? This would take weeks to light on a good day. And basically this again, this even happens to veterans, is that lots of times your approach to a shot, things just don't come together. And that's true of any art form, whether it's writing, filmmaking, animation, whatever. Things don't always come together. And you're left with the struggle of, do I continue to push through to overcome, or do I kind of shelve this for a minute and move on to something else? If you're working on a production, you have to power through, and you make it as good as you can. You shrug your shoulders, and you say, that's probably not going to show up on my demo reel, and you move on. But if it's a personal project, I would usually recommend, and in this case I recommend, putting it aside, because your frustration is just going to continue to grow, and your confidence level is going to go down. Put it aside and work on something anew, because the amount of time that it would take you to get to the level that you want, you could probably get 2 or 3 other projects done. It's just the way it works when you find a shot that feels like you're pushing a rock up a hill. So I'm sorry this is going a little bit long, but I do really want to hit this point of a couple things. One, don't get frustrated if your work isn't meeting your aesthetic goals now. Let me rephrase that. Get frustrated, but don't let that frustration get you down, because it's natural, and understand that everybody goes through that. And number 2 is, and I was talking to Kat about this, understand that there are times when it's best to fail fast. Because every time you say yes to a project, you're saying no to 10 other ones, right? Because every time you're dedicating time to project A, projects B through F don't get the resources, because I know all of you are just like thinking of project after project to do. So if something's not working out, and this is where I come in, this is where your peers come in, ask us, like, do you see potential in this? And sometimes it's best to just say, you know what, fail fast. Jasmine and I do it to each other all the time. We tell each other, let's fail fast and let's move on to the next thing. And you just shrug your shoulders and you go, you know what, that one just didn't work out. And because it's not a production, because you're in an academic setting where you're learning, there's no pressure. You can move on to the next thing. So I just wanted to make sure to put a finer point on that, because it's really, really important during this process to know the ebbs and flows and the rises and falls that you're going to feel when you're going through this process. And it's not always easy, but it will happen to each and every one of us. So I just wanted to point that out. And Kat, I think that, and like I said before, I really love the woman that you were lighting in Harlem. I think that's got a lot of potential. But yeah, so I think we are, so let's go ahead and move on to the some other shots here. We'll go through alphabetically. Okay, so first up we have Amy. So here's the reference that you're working with. you're using Peak Orlando Bloom, which is dangerous to just drop those images into the form. You got to give people a little heads up first. So this is really nice. So this is the majority of the key lights coming around from his backside. It's mostly like what I call a rim key coming in from behind, and then the light that's bouncing up and hitting the majority of his face is coming from like a secondary bounce light. And then you can see lots of specular hits on his head, across his nose, and then just like soft light kind of filling in some of his shadow regions there. You're getting that feeling really well. You've got the light coming in from behind here. You've got the fill area in here, and then you're allowing some of just like the darkness in here. I think this is working out well in terms of the value. I think that this is working out well. This area in the middle can get up just a little bit stronger. Like if you're looking here, it'd be more like this. And I think we can increase it by about 20% or so. The other thing that you want to watch out for is looking at this. So I guess if this is mimicking his head, yeah, I was going to say I think it's wrapping around too much towards the bottom, but I think that's actually okay. But the bigger issue is the multiple shadows on the ground. And this, you can alter this by increasing the radius of everything that's not the key light in order to get these shadows to soften up a little bit. Like again, we're not seeing the ground here, but this feels like a more of a natural lighting. Like it looks interior, but it looks like there's a skylight or something above. And it'll just help it not feel like it's stage lighting on the ground by softening a couple of these shadows. So it looks like, because this one's here, like the densest one probably can stay. It's just like this one can soften, and then it looks like there's another one in there too that can just soften up a little bit, just so we can get that main area. And then the other thing we want to watch out for is that whatever's getting really dark there. Just watch out what's going on there. But overall, you're definitely getting the feel, and I love the variation in the ramp that you're getting along this background. It's really, really subtle and really, really pretty. Ashley, great reference. This is from Arrival, one of my favorite films of the last 20 years. I think it's so beautiful. I think it's such a great story, and I love, and just looking at this in terms of color palette is really great. You've taken that and you've adjusted a little bit by adding a bit more saturation. That's totally fine. I think that's a good thing to do, because you're like, oh, this is my reference, this is where I'm starting, but you can adjust the like a few things. Now, if you wanted to pull back on that saturation to get to better match that reference, all the more power to you, I think. But it's really just about the personal style that you want to go with. In terms of the lighting, so looking at this, so the scenes are very different. This one's all about like creating low contrast in the background to get the darker shapes here in the middle to stand out. This one is kind of the same way. The thing that I want out of this is I feel like this area is getting too bright. Like if our focus is going to be this table, I want this light to kind of be restricted in here, and then I want more fall off into the darkness this way. Make sure you throw in a sky back there. We don't want the transparency. We also, yeah, because like this is shining, like this light should be like here, and it's shining way over here. So we really want to tighten that up. The other thing you want to watch out for is with this set, like some of this stuff is partial props. So you want to make sure to kind of push those towards the edge of frame, because it's just like, it's kind of giving away the gag there. But yeah, I do like the structure of this with the darker elements closer, the hazier elements back there. It's just, for your next step, it's just finding your focus for the shot and really knowing whether you want the audience to look. All right, Danny, this is looking good. I would like to try a little bit of haze in the shot overall. Let's try that in the comp a little bit. Something along these lines. Just do a quick mock-up here. Filter blur. Gaussian blur. Too much. Too little. Like that. Screen this back over. Too much. Something more along like lines of like this, just to get a little more diffusion in there. You know, we talked about this before, but like getting the area between the bricks back here to go darker, because right now the cement and the mortar kind of look, or the brick and the mortar all look the same in value and in specularity, and like and just getting those to break up a little bit. I would work on those two things, and let's see where we land from there. This one's looking a lot better. We're getting, you know, I know you're working on getting some more grit and grime. It looks like we've pulled off a little bit of the glow in here. I actually think you can push a little bit more along here, just to kind of hide some of the lack of detail on some of these buildings. Because I do like what's going on here with them kind of being a little bit silhouetted. Keep pushing the textures. Yeah. It's a little bit bright on some of the subsurface going on there. I still like that shape a lot. This is nice. I like that value. And then watch out for, I say this looks super bright over there. It's nice from there. But yeah, this is all starting to come together a little bit better. It's, again, just keep adding detail, keep adding some grime to it, which I saw you were doing in the shading channel as well. And then from there, it would just be a matter of once you're happy with the level of detail, then we can go ahead and call this one done. Watch out for this right here. You see this like line of, like, I don't know if it's a reflection or we're actually seeing through, but you may just want to plug those up there. That could be very helpful. And then let's go on to Jeremy. Jeremy, it's so much better. Much better than your last iteration. And I do want to say that it's nice to see Superman relaxing a little bit. You don't get to see that too much. The one thing I would say is that looking at this, I do think that we can push the brights a touch brighter and the darks maybe just a little bit darker. Something a little, like, just because I'm looking at this start to blow out just a touch, and I think that we can do that just a little bit more. And just because, like, we're seeing some of the darkness in there. But other than that, I think this is looking good. I like this, like, light bit of red that you're getting in here. But overall, I think that you've hit the point of the challenge, and you're good to move on to the next iteration and the next module. So really good job here, and love the reference, and I love the adjustments you made based on the rounded notes. So that's really good. Jordan, looking good. 2 big notes. I want to see. It's a little basically the lighting that we're seeing on this back wall is a little bit broad. I love the specularity on it. I want to localize it a little bit. I want it to feel like there's a circle of warmth that's happening on the character here. I want to feel that extended out to here, and I want to see this area get more specular and allow this area to fall off, because he's walking into the unknown a little bit, maybe. Oh, like he's using this candle to go this way, so in my head I want it to die off before it gets to the edge, to know that the next steps are unknown for him. And also what's behind him should go a little bit darker too, so there's not quite as much haze and fog. In his eyes, I want to see a little bit of reflection of that candle, if we can. Again, this is a unique situation, but I do want to see that a little bit. But overall, his lighting is looking pretty, the structure of it's looking really good. I just want to feel more in the scene with this candle light. Also, I'm also not sure if that's part of him or part of the background, because it's a very different color than everything else. I guess maybe like that's a rock there. I'm not quite sure what's there, but I would, yeah, make that more like the background in its coloring. Kevin, this looks great. I like the wrap that you're getting more now in the tree. Love that guy's face. Yeah, I would call this one done. And if you're all good for it, if there's any other changes you want to make, let me know. But I'd like to add this to the Hall of Fame, if possible. So, yeah, let me know if you're all good, and we'll get that added over there. Pearl, looking great. Loving the setup of all this. A few things that I think that could improve this. Number one is I think we can darken. I would darken these a little bit, but just because tonality-wise they're pretty similar to the surroundings, and I want to use those as framing elements. So darkening them down a stop or two, just to like pretending like they're more in shadow, could really help get a frame on the character. Number 2, I want to get a little bit more subsurface on her skin. Like she's getting nice and bright, and I think that bright point is perfect on her. I just want to see some of these areas, especially around the nose and maybe up underneath her chin, to get a little bit of that warm glow from subsurface scattering. And number 3 is, I think the background, for my liking, might be a little bit too pink and a little too saturated. I really like the colors you're getting up in here. It's just like this immediate area around it. Let's see if we can adjust the colors there. It's feeling a little bit on the pink side. Just take that down, just. This isn't getting rid of the pink entirely, but this is what I was thinking in terms of just like a little bit less saturation, and I would shift it more into the for the warms you want to shift those a little more orange, and for the coolers I like the purple tonality that you were getting up there. Just going to take that off. So like this value plus a little bit more of an orangey color, I think would work out really, really well. Yeah, shaping's all there, values are there. It's just making these last adjustments to really up the game. Shibli, this is looking really good. I still think we can probably get some more specularity on the snail and probably on the skin, because like a snail and a slug are like super slick, and they have like a thing that they excrete on their skin. I just know this from working on with some slugs on the movie Epic. They are super gooey and they're covered in a film, so I would encourage you to get a little more specularity on there. I think the character's looking really good. His eyes could probably get cleaned up a little bit. I would consider a more traditional ding and less of that in there, and then brighten up his teeth to like brighten the eye whites a little bit brighter, and then brighten the teeth to match that. Hand looks great. This area in here could still use a little bit of work. Like, do you see how this grass is nice and kind of a yellowy green, and then the other grass is more of like a blue green? I would have all the grass match this color because it just looks so good in all the other surrounding areas. And then also the edging on it looks a little weird, and I'm not quite sure what's causing that. But just double check your opacity and double check the what's going on in the comp to make sure that is functioning properly, and that we're getting a nice clean edge on that. And then I would eliminate this if we could, because you just don't like it's just I wouldn't want to break his silhouette. But this is looking really good. Lots and lots of progress. I love it. Tristan, much better, improving dramatically. Like this is starting to feel like that John Wick reference a little bit more, right? The area like this value looks good. I like that light coming through. I love the variation, the subtle variation in tones going across the different cards is really cool. The one thing that I really want you to try, two things. One, I want to darken the area back behind here, not the brights on the signs, but the like these areas in here. I want the overall black point to get a little bit darker. I know we're adding atmospherics in there, but I just want it to feel like a little bit of a darker space. And the second thing I really want to do is make this feel like a neon light with like an inner tube glow. Like right now it just feels like a constant, like the color is consistent in there. I want to create a brighter line down the middle and then have that roll off like there's like a feeling of neon. And then I'm wondering if there's not a way we can get a little more shaping on some of these tentacles on the screen left side. Might just be a matter of filling them in a little bit more. And then, yeah, and then I would maybe continue to push a little more rim on the exit sign on that side. But this is looking great. You're making really good progress. Yeah, and that's it for today. All right, so like I said, lots of good announcements, lots of good things going on. Make sure you sign up for the Foundry webinar. We're making a good announcements there, answering questions, and yeah. And once again, we're very excited to have Unreal is up and running, Katana coming soon, and Nuke is not far behind. So with that, I'll leave you guys to your day. All right, happy Monday, everybody.